Every single time I see that chef's hat, I know there's nothing but sweetness in the loft. How are you, Dimo?
Very well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm so ready for it. I mean, do me nothing but chocolate today.
You know, miss, this is my chocolate heaven. Whenever I hear chocolate, I'm ready.
Pretty much. Now, have you always wished that you could bake the most amazing chocolate cake? A cake that is moist and full of chocolatey perfection. Well, sit tight, Mzansi, because today is your lucky day. We have LINDT's Master's Chocolatier, Dimo Simantos, in the loft, and he is going to be teaching us the A to Z of chocolate cake making. But wait, there is so much more. Stay tuned, because we're also giving away not just one, but two 1,000 Rand LINDT Excellence hampers for two of our lucky viewers. Now, Dimo, we're going to give our viewers all the info on that as the show goes. But you promised us chocolate cake, and chocolate cake we are going to deliver. So what do we need?
Okay, so let's go through the ingredients.
Okay.
We've got, you'll notice, a whole bunch of dry ingredients. So we've got cake flour, sugar, a bit of cocoa powder, and then a bit of a combination of baking powder, bicarb, and a little bit of coffee.
Delicious. And on this side, I see we also have a wet station.
Right. So the wet station, the wet ingredients are all put together. So we've got water,
Okay.
oil, and there's a bit of a strange concoction here of vanilla and vinegar.
Okay.
So we can actually pop all the wet ingredients into the saucepan.
So I've already gone in with my water.
And pop in the oil.
Lovely oil. So today we're looking for a nice oily cake.
Correct. So I'm sure you've noticed by now there's no butter, there's no eggs involved. So
There's no milk.
No milk. So it's leaning towards dairy-free.
Okay.
I love that. Sounding good. So this wet mixture, we have to pop it on the heat, right?
Correct. So
Okay.
we've got to bring that to the boil.
Okay.
And once it's nice and hot, we're going to break up our chocolate and pop it in there.
All right.
Melt it all down.
So when you say you bring it to a boil, so you do want to have those bubbles breaking the surface?
Correct. So we need to get it nice and hot.
Okay, perfect. Awesome stuff.
Dumi, can you just talk us through then the dry?
Well, then, Palisa, like Chef said, we've got some flour, some sugar, some cocoa powder, and baking soda, baking powder, and some coffee.
A bit of coffee. So
A bit of
instant
coffee.
Just, it always brings out the chocolate flavor.
I love that.
Enhances that.
I love that because recently we did a coffee and chocolate tasting, Palisa, and it made absolute sense. So I do understand why you might have it in the actual batter as well.
Right, so what we can do right now is get all our dry ingredients into the bowl. Okay. So you can pop your flour in there, and that's just normal cake flour.
Everything's already been sifted.
Correct. So we sieve through, just make sure that it's nice and clean.
Perfect.
Your cocoa powder, and then you're going to use your whisk just to make sure that everything's blended in really well.
And then just to make sure I understand as well, Chef, the one thing you've mentioned before when we were making another cake, you did say that doing this with the sifting, you've sifted it before, but also whisking it also aerates the mixture as well, right?
That's correct. So it'll just lighten everything up and make sure that any uneven, especially the baking powder, bicarb, you want to disperse that nice and evenly.
Okay, perfect.
Right. Now, Chef, you did promise us a whole lot of moisture within this cake, something that's scrumptious, but something that also never fails. Is that what is the trick to everything that we're doing today? The fact that we're using the oil, we have to bring it to a boil, and also everything that's happening on the cake station, on the dry ingredient station, making sure that it's light, airy, and fluffy.
Correct. So you want to make sure that, you know, the hot liquid will react with baking powder, the bicarb, and make sure that it gives a bit of lift in the chocolate cake.
But Chef, at then what time do we put in our delicious chocolate? Because I know that you wanted us to also try mix in the chocolates within the hot ingredients.
Right.
Do we do that when it's off the pot?
Correct. So break it up in the actual packaging, which is a nice little trick. You don't have to totally open it up and have any wastage.
Okay.
Then by the one side of the foil, just kind of tear it open and then drop all the chocolate into that warm liquid.
Talk about decadence.
We might have to pop it back onto the stove and just have a look and see if it's warm enough, but...
Chef, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to take a bit of a bite of this chocolate, because you know me and my LINDT chocolate. I love me some LINDT.
Me too, Dumi. Cheers on that side. And
cheers,
essentially, this is the sea salt flavor, but LINDT Excellence comes in the finest dark chocolate. I mean, it delivers a smooth and delicate, creamy dark chocolate taste, but the aftertaste is very sweet. And I think that that's due to the quality ingredients that is all packed up in this. It's just nothing but the best.
And the nice thing about the Excellence range is you can use any flavor of choice. So orange intense, you can even opt for a high cocoa content from a 70 to 85. if you want a bit more of a pronounced kind of chocolatey flavor.
Okay.
In that case, my suggestion would be leaving out the cocoa powder
Oh,
in the
okay.
recipe if you're going to go opt for high cocoa content.
Wow, that's actually very, very delicious, very, very tasty. And if this is any indication of how this cake is going to taste, we are in for a treat indeed. I mean, as much as it is a sea salt flavor, it doesn't fight with the savory of the salt. Does not fight with the sweetness of the chocolate. It actually comes together quite perfectly, just as this hot mixture is.
So the hot liquid, all into your dry at once.
All at once.
All at once.
But obviously, Chef, if someone is more experienced on their chocolate palate, they are able to then use the dark chocolate specifically, like the 85%.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just going to give you, obviously, a darker batter, a more pronounced chocolatey flavor. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we also don't have any salt in this recipe.
Yeah.
Because on this particular one, using the touch of sea salt, we've got it in our chocolate. That's just going to blend in. So with a couple of whisking motions, you're going to get this nice, smooth, chocolatey batter. Tap out your whisk, swap over to your spatula.
Okay.
Now we've got to pour it into our bundt cake tin.
Okay.
Right? You've got to make sure you don't miss
the center.
I don't know if you noticed, but there's a little hole in the center.
There's a little hole. Oh my goodness, hectic.
So as you're pouring, just move around really gently and just get most of the mixture out first before you start scooping.
Beautiful. South Africa, please just head over to afternoonexpress.co.za if you want to get the full ingredients list and recipe to make this beautiful, moist, LINDT-inspired chocolate cake. It's looking really, really good in the loft, tasting even better. I definitely want to dive into more chocolate as the show continues. Thank you so much, Dimo. Now, you could win one of two 1,000 Rand hampers of LINDT Excellence delicious range of chocolates. To enter, tell us which flavor of LINDT Excellence, 70% cocoa, 85% cocoa orange, mint, or sea salt you would love to try. T's and C's can be found on afternoonexpress.co.za. Now on social media, we want to empower you with all the tools to create chocolatey goodness in your own home. So we're calling on all the chocolate lovers. Today, the show is for you. What unconventional thing would you put within your chocolate? I mean, how can you finesse chocolate in your very own kitchen to make it absolutely delicious? We want something outrageous, extraordinary, maybe a little bit weird, but make sure you use that hashtag Afternoon Express in all of your comments.